The Cowboys will go to the Super Bowl.
Is the SWBC Mortgage Dallas Cowboys Legends Show.
Tony Dorsett has scored his first touchdown as a pro.
Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
Tony Hill, touchdown! Tony Hill!
Brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Mahindra. Find your nearest Mahindra dealer at texasmahindradealers.com. And by SWBC Mortgage. You support your team. We support your family. Your business. We support you. Now, your hosts, Mickey Spagnola and Bill Jones.
It's another Victory Wednesday, Cowboys Legends Show here at the Star in Frisco. I am Bill Jones along with Mickey Spagnola as the Cowboys will now be looking for 5 straight wins on Sunday afternoon at AT&T Stadium against the Philadelphia Eagles. We're kind of making a habit here, Mickey, of Victory Wednesdays.
We are, it seems like, and as I should let everybody know, they're looking for the 5th of what Bill says will be 12 consecutive victories.
That's right. I said when Dak Prescott a month ago, when the Cowboys were 3-5 in the locker room here at the Star, said that he can't remember ever being 3-5 before. Well, I went back and looked at Mississippi State, and he was, I think, 3-4 at one point at Mississippi State. Well, then he rattled off 12 straight wins, and Mississippi State the next season was number 1 ranked in the country. And so if he rattled off 12 straight wins after that, sure enough, you did the math on it, the Cowboys would win the Super Bowl in that 12 straight win.
That's my Bill Jones.
So that was my prediction back then. But we've got bigger fish to fry right here, because we've got a great Legends guest tonight here at the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco, a big Cowboys Legends. Hello to Patrick Crayton. How you doing, Patrick?
I'm good, sir. How about yourself?
Doing very well. The pride of DeSoto U.
Yes, fighting Eagles.
That's right.
The only Eagles I claim.
There you go. So it's timely on Eagles Week. We've got a DeSoto Eagle here.
That is
That's
correct.
right.
I think you guys planned that just in time.
Yeah.
A homegrown talent.
That's exactly right. And, of course, we've got a lot to talk about with Patrick, who played for the Cowboys during an interesting time when Bill Parcells coached the team, and then Wade Phillips. And, of course, was there when Tony Romo made his debut. And
correct.
There were some other notable players during that time. I can't wait to pick your brain on what all transpired over that 6 or 7 years when you were at the Cowboys.
Now, Bill, you can't get me to say everything. So we got to save something.
Mickey will pry.
We'll try.
Yeah.
So why don't we catch up with you first here? What do you got going on? What are you doing with yourself?
Man, I'm a professional chauffeur for my kids. That's first and foremost. You know, they keep me busy. They're at practice right now.
How many kids you have now?
3.
3.
Yeah.
And
2 boys and a girl.
And they're playing sports?
My daughter's in volleyball, and both of the kids are in basketball right now.
Wow. What are the ages?
9, 10, 11.
9, 10, and 11.
Yeah.
That's great ages.
I had a busy period.
Not as busy it's going to be in the next couple of years with all of them playing at the same time.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But, I love it. I cherish it. I've been able to be a part of all their growth, academically and, athletically as well.
Do you do any coaching?
I do. I coach my oldest son's football team.
All right.
So that's people always ask me, would you let your, a lot of guys don't let their sons play football these days.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah. I said, one, because I'm out there coaching. So, I can teach some of the proper technique. And at this age, with the way they're developing technology for equipment, I mean, it's one of the safest times. And I tell people, I was like, women and men's soccer and lacrosse has more concussions than football across the board. So if you want to just say it's based on concussions, then you should let your kids play those sports. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where, and it teaches character, it teaches responsibility, teaches how to work well with people and get along with others.
And the other thing now with youth football is they start them off with flag football.
Yes, exactly.
And so they get exposed to it then. Yep. Did yours start with flag football, and are they playing?
I don't think
playing
we
tackle
had.
now.
We didn't have it when I was in Little League.
Yeah,
we went straight to tackle at 7.
Yeah.
So now they're getting.
How about
flag.
you, Mickey? How old were you when you played tackle football?
My freshman year in high school.
Freshman year?
Okay.
Oh, really? Wow. I was 8 years old, and it was tackle football.
Yeah,
we didn't even think anything about it.
Yeah. We played tackle in the field without equipment.
Of course, I grew up.
Of course, you
right?
do that. Yeah.
Yeah. But you grew up where, Mickey?
the suburbs of Chicago.
Oh, see, that's totally different.
So there was no.
We're Texans. Okay?
I know. There was no junior high football.
I was 8 years old, Irving YMCA. Where did you first play?
My first place was in Duncanville, actually.
Yeah.
We had basketball and hockey.
There you go.
See,
and baseball.
Hockey. That's still new to us down here.
Yeah, I know.
That's right. Yeah.
We started off clearing the snow off the ponds when they overflew from the rain, and then they froze and played hockey on
and just the fact
those.
that y'all were willing to actually go out there on some frozen water.
Well, here's the crazy thing. This is nuts. There was a forest preserve there with a big lake.
Okay.
So we'd go out on the lake and kind of shovel off the snow, and we'd send the heaviest guy out as far as he could go before the ice would crack. And then we'd go, okay, that's out of bounds.
There you go.
You know, one of the things, Mickey, that I always liked about Patrick Crayton in the locker room is that he seemed to be honest with his answers.
He was.
You know, he didn't give you the coach speak, you know, and that's why this hour is going to be so interesting with Patrick Crayton.
Okay.
Right, Patrick?
It will be. It will be.
So have you kept track of this team?
I have.
And how things have been going?
Yeah.
What's your kind of take on it?
My take is I like the position they're in right now. You know, they're 7-5. They're in front of the division. And so it's really theirs to lose, in a sense. I mean, even if for some reason, miraculously, some of the other teams started playing well enough, you know, to maybe tie in a division or something like that, I mean, they still hold some tiebreakers, which is good.
And they can control it themselves.
They can control it,
you win, you're good.
You win, you're
right?
good. You win, you're good. You get one at home, and then you just go from there. You know, the biggest thing is just getting in the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's anybody's game because it only takes one game.
And you found that out good way and a bad way too, right?
Correct. Yes.
Never know what happens once you get in. So this wide receiver core they have.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on that, on what you've seen from some of these guys and maybe what you've seen with the addition of Amari Cooper?
Young and talented. I think that's the biggest thing you can see from them. They're young, but they have some talent and they have some dog about them, which is what I love to see in receivers.
See, that's what Patrick had about him.
Yeah, they're not afraid to get in there and mix it up.
Yeah.
And you can tell, you know, they relish the moment when the ball comes their way. They're looking to make plays.
And you're right, they're young. When, you know, people forget Michael Gallup's a rookie.
He's a rookie, yeah. He's a rookie.
And he's pretty talented. He just needs to refine some things, but you kind of like his speed. And, you know, anybody that goes to college, and I don't care where you go, and in 2 years you catch 160 passes.
You're doing some things.
Right?
You're used to catching some pigskin.
Yeah.
You know, one thing about Michael Gallup, and I've thought of this season, I've thought about Patrick Crayton a lot when I think about Michael Gallup, is because, of course, you came from a smaller school, Northwestern Oklahoma State, and if memory serves me right, the first half of your rookie season, you weren't doing anything, and then you got an opportunity the second half of the year.
Right.
And that's where, Mickey, you could really see what kind of potential Patrick had as an NFL receiver.
Yeah, I got my first action Detroit game, actually.
Right.
I think we were 3-4 at the time, 2-4, 3-4 at the time. And so an injury happened, and I was able to get activated and thrown in the fire, what Parcells would say.
Yeah.
Because you kind of got released and then signed to the practice squad.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it was an indication of how a player can grow from the beginning of the season.
Yes.
And really, in terms of Michael Gallup, I thought it was pretty unrealistic to think right off the bat that he is going to be really productive as an NFL receiver because there's a transition period that takes place. Now, he's come out of Colorado State. He had great production in college. But I really looked at the second half of his rookie season as when he could really make an impact, and we're starting to see that now.
You know, it's different now because a lot of these guys and players that are coming out are coming into offenses that are similar to what they're seeing in college. So the transition isn't as bad. It's more the terminology, learning to read defenses, you know, knowing when to be a blitz pickup guy. So that's the biggest thing. And then the season's longer and it's more grueling. That's the thing. You know, there are no timeouts for classes.
Yeah.
Your class is the meeting room, film room, training room, wherever you need to be. It's in the building. You don't leave it. You know, you get everything here.
And there's a lot you have to pick up, reading defenses,
Oh, yeah.
Reading defenses on the run, knowing what your route breakoffs are, and all that stuff. When did you think that you started like, oh, okay, I think I'm getting this now?
Literally, probably didn't get comfortable probably until my second year in Sean Payton's offense. You know, because that first year you're just learning how to be a professional player, so it's totally different, you know. And then once you finally get comfortable and get involved in the offense, and you start like, okay, I know the playbook well. You know, I'm not having to think when you can just go out and just play and react versus having to think, okay, where do I line up on this real quick? Okay, now I know now I'm, you know, I'm getting confused. Okay, this defense is that. Okay, what are we doing about blitz pick? Now when you can just go out there and you can just play, it makes it that much easier and the game slows down. The speed of the game was the biggest difference to me when I came in.
Really? Yeah. And your assessment of Amari Cooper so far?
Ooh. Cool. I love hearing that. I've been to 2 games so far this year at the stadium. So to be able to hear that means the offense is moving the ball. He's making plays. You know, they gave up a first-round pick, so he's looking like a first-round pick.
He seems pretty smooth running routes.
He is. His fluidity, getting in and out of breaks, is something you haven't seen in a while. I mean, you can tell he really, and you can tell he's running with a new energy. You know, he's not having drops. He's playing ball. He's moving fast, and I think his confidence has gotten back since he's made a change of scenery from wearing the Raiders with the X skull on your thing to putting a star on that helmet.
And, of course, Amari Cooper is just 24 years old.
Yeah.
And giving up a first-round draft pick for a 24-year-old who's in his 4th year in the league is quite different than if you were giving up a first-round pick for, say, a 28 or 29-year-old.
So you're talking about the future. He's not even in his prime yet.
Yeah.
And he's already in his 4th season.
Yeah.
And
with 2 Pro Bowls on his belt.
With 2 Pro Bowls in, and you came in, you were already 25, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
I was an old man by then.
I was an old rookie. I took the road less traveled to get here.
Well, you ended up junior college first, right? Before you went to Northwestern State?
Northwestern Oklahoma State in Alva, Oklahoma.
That is correct. Yeah.
There you go. That's up in northwestern Oklahoma, Mickey.
I got it, Bill.
Hey, let's say hello to Danny Sorek, who has the wireless microphone here at the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. All of you in attendance here, if you have a question for Patrick Crayton, find Danny, and you can ask a question of Patrick. Danny, how are you doing?
Doing well, thank you. Hi, Patrick.
How are you?
Well, thank you. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Growing up in DeSoto, how much more special was that playing for the Dallas Cowboys, just being locally? I mean, did that change the way you felt when you put on that star?
You know what? It didn't. I think I felt like I was already a Cowboy because it's all I ever knew. You know, growing up here, that's all my grandfather taught me. You know, I remember he had a mug, like a Pilsner mug, that had the Super Bowl insignia from the '77 Super Bowl when they played the Steelers. You know, so that's what I've known.
Was there a particular Cowboys player that you liked growing up?
Tony Dorsett.
Oh,
yeah, that was my. I got to actually meet him. I was probably 5.
Really?
My mom took me somewhere and he was taking pictures.
Really?
Yeah. I need to have her dig that up.
Now you get it signed by him.
I get it signed by him.
It's funny you brought that up because I just saw something, Bill. I was looking at, Zeke is already 1,000 yards rushing this year.
Yeah.
So it's his second one in 3 seasons. He would have had a third if not
last
for
year,
the suspension, right? So I'm thinking back, who else had 2,000-yard seasons in their first 3? And, of course, Emmett did it his second and third year.
Mm-hmm.
He would have had it his first year had he not been unsigned until Tuesday before the season opener, right? And he got off to a slow start, but he still had 900 yards rushing. Right. So it's like, well, who else? Well, Tony Dorsett had 5 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons to start his career rushing, and the only thing that stopped it from being 9 straight was the strike in 1982.
Oh, boy.
They missed 7 games. They only played 9, and he had 785 yards. So he would have had 9 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. That's how good he was.
Hall of Fame.
Right? I think sometimes people, they hear his name, but they don't understand just how dynamic he was. And the only thing that stopped him at 9 was in '86. They had Herschel Walker, and they shared snaps.
Shared snaps, yeah.
And, of course, Heisman Trophy winner out of Pitt as well. All right, we're just getting started here with Patrick Crayton on the Cowboys Legend Show, and we will continue from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco in just a moment.
Back to the SWBC Mortgage Dallas Cowboys Legends Show. Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
Crayton backs up and makes the catch at his 17. Now 25, headed left 35. Now right 40. Crayton down the field past the punter. Crayton to the 40. Crayton down the sideline to the 20, to the 10. Twice for Patrick Crayton in a couple of weeks. Punt return for the score.
How about that, Patrick Crayton? He not only caught footballs, he would catch punts and run them back for touchdowns. Bill Jones along with Mickey Spagnola, and Patrick Crayton is our Cowboys Legends guest. You like returning punts?
I do. I have a little crazy to me.
You have to have a little crazy, right?
So that was 2009. They were playing Seattle. It was a Cowboys victory that week, 38-17. And he returned that punt 82 yards with 1:11 left in the third quarter. Seattle got forced to punt on a 4th and 1 from their 29. Mm-hmm. And if you heard, Brad said you're second, so the week before you returned one against Atlanta, right?
Right.
So when you hear those things, do you remember vividly the punt return?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Every step of the way?
Just about
it. It didn't sound like anybody touched you.
Just about every. I don't think anyone touched me on either one of them. Maybe a slip of the jersey, but I don't think on either one of those. One was up the middle against Atlanta, where I think the only guy that actually touched me was my own teammate, Terrence Newman, trying to get out of the way.
And when I mentioned Bill that he was a jack of all trades, I was also reminded that when he was in college, he was the first NAIA player to have in the same season a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown, a kickoff return touchdown, and a punt return touchdown.
Yeah.
He did everything.
It was a great senior year. You know.
And you were playing quarterback, right?
Correct.
So now the quarterback's returning kicks?
Well, that was kind of one of the stipulations when my coach asked me to move from receiver. I asked him, are you going to take away my return duties? And he's like, no, absolutely not. Okay, well, I'm cool with switching then. All right.
Let me run down some of those numbers as you led the Northwest Oklahoma State Rangers to the NAIA National Championship game in 2003. All right, Patrick passed for 1,837 yards and a school record 19 touchdowns that year. He also rushed. Now get this. He rushed for a school single-season record 1,476 yards and 13 touchdowns while adding 15 receptions for 331 yards and 4 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson had nothing on you as a quarterback, right?
Yeah, well, he did do it in returns.
That's right.
And they never put him at receiver.
There you go. That's right. And as Mickey said, the first player in NAIA history to score a touchdown passing, receiving, rushing, and on kickoff and punt returns in a single season. But your first 3 years, you were a receiver, right? You played quarterback just your last year there.
Correct.
So
yeah.
How did that come about?
We had the 2 quarterbacks before me from my freshman, sophomore, and junior year. My first 2 years, he was a stud. He was All-American. We ran the option. And so, of course, he's got all the complete career rushing records for school.
And you weren't getting very many balls thrown your way either.
I was not.
Option,
I was not. I mean, we were running Nebraska's offense.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucked. I knew how to block. That's what I did.
See, that paid off.
It paid off because Parcells definitely wanted me to do that. And going into my senior year, our coach was with a dilemma. He was faced with a dilemma. The quarterback that he had recruited kind of didn't pan out in spring. He wasn't what he thought he saw on film, in other words. And so he called me over the summer and was like, look, this is where we're at right now. What do you think about me moving you to quarterback? And I was like, but you brought in such and such. He was like, yeah, no, he can't run the offense like I need the offense right. And I go, well, I mean, are you going to take him over return duties? And he goes, oh, no, we're going to keep that. You're going to do that? He said that the best thing about it, he said, I can run the offense the way we need to run it. We can move it up and down the field. He said, the best thing, you get the ball in your hands every play. Sounds like a win-win situation to me.
So had you played quarterback in high school?
I had.
You
quarterback
had.
and free safety. Yeah. So
All
I was
right.
recruited as a free safety to Texas Tech, actually, coming out of high
Really?
school. Yep.
Okay, so what year did you graduate from DeSoto?
97.
97.
Yep.
So what kind of teams did you have back then? Because DeSoto, for those outside the area, DeSoto has been a power for a while now.
For a little while. That year we went 8-4.
Okay.
8-4. Got put out in the second round to a team that threw 2 passes. If you can believe that.
2 passes.
2 passes. They ran option up and down the field on our butts, left and right.
And that makes for a quick game, too.
Yeah, we had a couple key injuries. Our DN was out. He got injured the week before. Middle linebacker was out. He got injured the week before. So all our backups were all sophomores. So it was me and one other senior in the secondary, and the other 3 backups were all sophomores. So they were young.
Okay, some DeSoto high school trivia. Not that it's trivial, but,
Okay.
of course, the player out of DeSoto High School that has accomplished the most in the NFL would be Von Miller, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Well, who would be your top 3 or 4 DeSoto players?
There's Von. There's Von Miller.
Right.
There's Byron Hanspart.
Yep, Byron Hanspart. And his son as well.
And his son, BJ. BJ's doing well.
That's
You
right.
know,
2 sons, actually.
He's got 2. He's got another one that's up there now.
And Byron Hanspart, the son, was a Landry Award finalist last year, and he is at Baylor now, cornerback.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they're doing well, man. I'm one of those proud alums that anytime I'm anywhere with anyone that wants to talk about their high school's accomplishments and everything.
Some running backs coming out of there, too.
And I talk about not just us being in the league. I talk about academically how many D1 scholarships we have players signed because they're able to get qualified academically. So that's my biggest thing. It's not that we've made it to league. Now, I will toot our horn on a bunch of us being in the NFL, and wearing the logo. I think since 2002, I did a study on it. I think since 2002, this was about 2 years ago, it had been 24 of us that had come through there.
In fact, Jason Garrett was just in here, and he asked me one time, what high school do you think produces the most NFL talent here? And I immediately said, I thought DeSoto, probably.
Probably
in
so.
Dallas-Fort Worth, that DeSoto High School probably is
We're
number
up there.
one.
We're up
Was
there
it
tops.
MacArthur Irving?
No.
Negative.
Brian Bosworth is our only one.
No. Aiken.
Aiken
Adele.
Yeah. How could I forget Aiken Adele?
Come on.
In fact, he accomplished a heck of a lot more in the NFL than Brian Bosworth did, right?
I think so.
I don't know if it was that you played NAI level, but you weren't playing wide receiver your senior year, and then you go into the draft, and probably everybody's thinking, well, what is he or who is this guy, right? You were a quarterback coming out?
No.
There.
Coming out of the receiver.
Yeah, right. And Patrick ends up lasting to the 7th round.
Yeah.
216th pick out of 255, I think.
That's a good job.
And so
it's all on the internet.
So when you get here, no, it's on draft history, by the way. And then when you get here, it's like, what was your thoughts when you show up? And then there's Bill Parcells, by the way.
Well, first off, I mean, you're drafted by the Dallas Cowboys.
Correct. Correct. You know what? It's funny you say that because when I actually got the call, I was more happy at the time, simply because I went until 216. Yeah, and just talking. That's when I first learned the business aspect of the NFL. Looking on from the outside, looking in. I was like, okay, scouts have told me this. Oh, that's when I'll go. Yeah, no, not a problem. I sat home and wrote every name from 1 to 215.
No, you
did
not.
Really?
I did.
Because, by the way,
I still have, my mom has all that stuff boxed up.
So you're sitting there
it's in a box.
watching the draft.
And I wrote down every name, and I put an asterisk beside every receiver.
So how many receivers?
Did you
went
ever go
before
back and say, okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Who
I think
made
around,
it, who didn't?
Around 09 or 2010, there were 4 of us left from that draft
From
class.
the whole draft.
From that draft class.
Because when I looked it up and I saw 216 and I said, okay, let me start looking to see who went before him, right? See if I recognize any names. And I definitely was probably out of the 7th round. And I was who are these people?
Yeah, exactly. So one was Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, number 3 overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Roy.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Roy Williams.
Roy Williams.
Who became your teammate.
Yeah, became my teammate. Yeah.
That's right.
So when you got here, not here, but Valley Ranch, and Bill Parcells is there, and what were your thoughts when you got into that first I guess it was a mini camp. I don't know if it was the rookie mini camp. That's where this story came from, because
rookie mini camp.
My headline was someone to root for, and I specifically remembered him out there, and he had some sort of foot injury. Yep. And it looked like, what's he doing? He's got to come out. He's hurt. He can't hardly run. And he's dragging himself through all this stuff. And afterwards, I went up to him and I said, you look like you're hurt. And you came back the next day and kept practicing, as I remember. And it was a strained plantar fasciitis. Fascia.
Yeah.
It was strained, or did it tear?
Tore.
It tore, right?
It tore, yeah.
And so I said, well, you can't play with that. And he goes, I've never been in so much pain in my life, but I'm a 7th-round pick, and I know the deal, and a 7th-round pick can't sit out, especially with Bill Parcells standing there.
Correct. And that was truly my mindset coming in.
Did somebody tell you that, or did you figure it out yourself?
I think I kind of figured that one out easily.
Yeah?
With Parcells. So when it happened, it probably happened 30 minutes into practice. And I remember making a plant, and I thought it was just I heard it pop, but I thought it was the tape that tore.
Uh-huh.
So I get back to the huddle, and I tell Britt, I say, hey, I felt the tape pop. Can you retape it? And he pulls my sock off and everything. He looks, he's like, it's not tore, but okay, let me tape it up again. Get in the huddle, and I literally take a step to run out wide, and I just collapsed. And I was like, what the heck just happened? So, I mean, they pulled me out that play. I was like, I don't know. I said, it just feels like nothing's there. He takes my shoe off, untapes it, and Doc's squeezing around, and he feels no tendon. He's just doing this. And he feels nothing there, and he's just like, yeah, you tore it. You tore it. And I was like, can I still practice, though? He goes, it's all about the pain you can accept and take. And I was like, well, tape it up, and then I'll get some treatment after practice and everything. And so finish practice. I go in, start getting treatment on it and everything. He feels around again. Doc Cooper's there. Doc Cooper, he's like, yeah, it's torn. It's torn. He said, it's actually a good thing. It's better to tear it than it is to strain it, because the tendon will just connect back and heal again away from that one. So I was like, okay. I said, so what's the usual recovery time on this? He was like, 3-4 weeks, maybe. Just depends on whether you take care of this and don't, put any pressure on it. So they put me in a sleeping boot, which I've never had before. It keeps your foot at a 90-degree angle. It's the most uncomfortable thing to sleep with ever. Yeah, because the Velcro scratches your legs if you turn over in the middle of the night. So it was a horrible thing. Finished out rookie mini camp. I get back to school, and I immediately they already called the trainer, told her what was going on and everything, and I think I was back in her office the first day I was back at school. Like, let's go. Hey, this got to be going. She was like, well.
When I asked him about it, and it was the first practice, he didn't miss any of the practices, and he said, you got to deal with it. You got to suck it up. And he said, and knowing Parcells, right, he's not going to give you any quarter, right? He's not going to baby you or anything.
Oh, no.
He wants to see how much you can do. And when I asked Bill about it, Bill said, you know what? You sprain a foot in training camp, it'll cost you your job.
Yeah, it will cost
That's
you.
how hard he was. So when I said that to him, he goes, there you go. You can't get hurt. And he kind of pushed through it. And, it was amazing. And the other thing that he recognized right from the start was that one of his avenues to make this team was not only as a receiver, but special teams.
Exactly right.
Bruce DeHaven, right?
Bruce DeHaven.
The special teams coach back in. All right, Patrick Crayton is our guest here on the Cowboys Legend Show. It's brought to you by SWBC Mortgage. For more than 40 years, SWBC has been helping people, companies, and financial institutions prepare to win in Texas and across the country. Visit SWBC.com to learn more, and more with Patrick Crayton in just a moment.
Back to the SWBC Mortgage Dallas Cowboys Legends Show. Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
24 seconds left. It's 1st and goal at the 4. They're 8 down. Shotgun, snap to Romo. Pressured, throws it right, caught, touchdown. Patrick Crayton standing right under the S in Bills. Perfect throw. One step in front of George Wilson. Now you got to go for 2.
Welcome back to the Cowboys Legends Show. Yes, what a memorable game that was. Patrick Crayton, our Cowboys Legends guest, with the touchdown in Buffalo, right, Mickey Spagnola?
It was. It was October 8th of 2007. Tony Romo.
A Monday night game.
Monday night game, and it was a holiday. It was not only a holiday in the U.S., October 8th, it must have been Columbus Day weekend. It was also Canada Day or something like that, because I remember
they celebrated Canada Day on October 8th that year?
I don't know. It was a holiday in Canada because everybody was drunk.
Well, you're in Buffalo.
And we're in Buffalo, right. And we stayed downtown Buffalo.
Hey, it was a Monday night game in Buffalo. It's a holiday.
Yeah, they were drunk regardless, Mickey.
I think, as a matter of fact, was that the game? The fire alarm went off in the hotel about 5 in the morning.
I had that one. And that was the eggs and battery.
And the eggs, remember, on the bus. And I remember what happened when we left, but let me finish with the game. So Romo throws 4 interceptions in the first half. And they're only down like 17 to 10.
5 in the game, didn't he?
5 in the game. He threw another one in the second half. And so this touchdown, it's 3rd and 6 at the Buffalo 43, and they drive, and Romo to Crayton for 8 yards. He gets out of I'm ahead of myself. The touchdown was a 4-yard catch, and there was only 20 seconds left in the game.
20 seconds left in the game, and that made the score what?
24-22.
Yeah.
Okay, down by 2.
Onside kick. And a guy by the name of Tony Curtis recovers the ball.
Onside kick. Yeah.
And the Cowboys have the ball with like 30 seconds left. He catches 2 passes. He gets out of bounds, and they got the ball 1st and 10 at the Buffalo 35 with 2 seconds left. He ended up with 6 catches for 73 yards. And then Nick Folk hits a 53-yard field goal at the buzzer.
One of the most incredible
hit 2
games.
of them.
And he hit 2 of them,
Remember
right?
He called the timeout right before he kicked the first
that's right. I
forgot. That was when they first started.
When we first started doing that timeout.
Yeah, icing the kicker.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that they called timeout. And they end up winning the game.
Yeah.
And I believe if this was the time in Buffalo, we pulled out on the bus, and we had to go by where the RVs were, and there were 3 women on top of the bus, and they mooned us.
And they still don't like us in Buffalo.
No, I don't think so.
I found that out the hard way there.
Yeah.
I did.
Do you remember that, Patrick?
I do.
Okay.
I did not
Making
understand why they
sure
didn't
Mickey
hate us.
didn't make it up.
No, I wouldn't make that up.
All right, Danny Sarek here at the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. We have a question from someone in the audience for Patrick Crayton. Danny?
We sure do. Tonight's question right now is from Driscoll, who is from Frisco.
Driscoll from Frisco. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Patrick.
How you doing, sir?
So you're drafted in the 7th round. So what was the thinking of the coaches at that time about what they were going to do with you? I mean, obviously special teams at somebody that high, but you must have had some really special abilities that they were thinking about you might be the receiver that they need. What was it, your moves or your speed or?
You know what? I'm not sure all the way. I mean, I had a little talent, but he was one to use me however he could use me. So he had me on every special teams. I was the 3rd-string quarterback. So he'd make me go down there and take reps with the quarterbacks like I was going to actually get in the game and play it. But that's just what he did. He had me holding snaps. He had me at the up back on punt kickoff. I mean on punt, the punt team. So everywhere he could try to use me, he was going to use me.
And
that's probably one reason you stayed that long, you know?
I think it was. Parcells' motto was the more you can do.
Yeah.
Remind me how long you held snaps.
How long did I hold snaps?
Yeah.
None.
Oh, okay. Well, he had you doing that.
What he had me do.
Yeah.
And DeHaven,
Maybe we should have had you.
Oh, Bill.
Bill had to go.
He had the
there.
greatest hands on the team. Why wouldn't you have the guy with the best hands on the team?
I mean, that was an ice cube that he was trying to hold.
That's true.
That ball was
That's
slick.
true.
It was shining.
It was shining. We were asking the same thing during the game, like, dude, are these balls slick to y'all? And that's before they started letting the quarterbacks pick their balls through the week and bring them. They would just pull them straight out of the box, and that's what you played with.
Because prior to that,
they had been doctoring.
They had let them doctor. Yeah. I could remember those guys at Valley Ranch, the equipment guys, taking the balls on a Friday before the game with a baseball bat and slamming them into the racquetball court, the back wall, to kind of loosen them up.
Yeah.
And then they would put them in the dryer with a bunch of softener in there, and to get the slickness off
hear
of
him tell them. Well, then they started doing ours got real good. They would actually take the footballs, the new ones that they got, and put them in a shopping cart, and take them, put them in the levels,
in the shower,
and put them in the sauna.
Oh, the sauna.
And let the steam hit them. Brush them down.
Right.
Put them back in there for a little bit longer. Take them out, brush them down again, then give them to us, and let them go beat them up in practice.
It's amazing. It would be like baseball. No, I don't like that football.
I don't like that one.
Give me another one. Throw one more in. So to show you how smart I was, all right, here's how I finished the column. What more do you want? Hometown guy, small school athlete, underdog, made the most of his chance, tough, versatile, head screwed on straight, not to mention obviously talented in a Cowboys position of great need. Yeah, like I said, keep an eye on Patrick Crayton. You're going to like this guy.
Well, thank you, Mickey.
Did you know that Mickey wrote so glowingly about you when you were playing?
Not at that
Probably
time.
not.
I did not. Not at that time.
But it's
that
here,
was my rookie year,
here.
so no.
I remember doing it.
You know, and
It
Parcells
caught
was
my
always,
eye.
yeah.
I could have been a scout, you know.
And Parcells was like, I don't read nothing the media says. Don't believe, don't eat the cheese, don't buy into it. So I didn't read a whole lot of media stuff.
What do you remember about the first time you met him? Or did he talk to you, or did?
He did. It wasn't a long conversation whatsoever. It was kind of quick. One of his biggest things is, hey, you don't know ish. So, so pay attention. You may learn some things. Get around these veterans. Be wherever they go. And he made me follow Terry Glenn wherever Terry Glenn went.
Really?
He goes, if I see 83, I better see 84 right behind him. And so that's one of the reasons me and Terry became so close.
And, of course, Parcells had Terry Glenn earlier in his career,
right.
So he knew what he was all about.
Exactly right.
How surprised were you surprised when Parcells decided to retire?
Yeah, it was a shock. I think it was a shock because I think it came, kind of out of nowhere.
It was after that Seattle playoff game.
It was after the Seattle playoff game, and, we thought we were building something.
And you were. I mean, you went 13-3 the next year.
So, yeah, exactly. So it was like, wow. We always look back and like, what if Parcells would have stayed? How would this have changed, like, the course of some of our careers? Because we considered ourselves Parcells guys.
May not have been a trip to Cabo.
Yeah, I don't think there would have been a trip to Cabo.
Bill with the zingers here today. So it was early. It was, 6 games into that 2006 season. You're playing a little bit more, and then all of a sudden he pulls the plug on Bledsoe, and it's like, Tony Romo, you're the quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember that game. It was against the Giants.
Yeah.
It was a Monday nighter.
Exactly.
And Bledsoe literally missed 2 point-blank blitzes right in his face. And we had just come off a timeout. And he brought a gap with the linebacker, 59, who used to be, I cannot think of his name, used to be linebacker. It was 58. He was the middle, Antonio Pierce.
Okay.
Antonio Pierce. And, I mean, Bledsoe looked right at him and pointed at him and never looked at him when he came in through the gap. We were like, what the? We just, me and the receivers like, did he not see that one? And I think that was the last play I saw.
And the last play was the interception at the end of the half.
At the end of the half, and it was like, yeah. And
Did you guys know what was getting ready to happen?
Yeah,
I think we had an inkling.
Okay, so you weren't surprised when he made the switch at halftime?
No, because they didn't stay long in the office at all. You know, usually the coaches would go in and deliberate.
Yeah.
I think by the time everybody got to the locker room, they were coming out. Parcells comes out, he goes, "Hey, I'm making the switch. 9, you're up." That's all he said, and he walked out.
What were your thoughts of Romo at that point?
I had 3 years of practicing.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
you were probably
good for you.
You were his guy, right?
Man, okay. And I remember my second year, me and Tunu were on the sidelines in practice one time during special team period where it wasn't punt return, so we didn't have to be back there catching punts. And Nugo, he said, "Dude, it's one dude on the quarterback." He said, "If he ever gets his chance." I was like, "Who?" I said, "Romo." He was like, "Romo." I said, "If he ever gets his chance, he's going to do something."
Really?
Yep.
And he did.
And he did.
All right, we continue with Patrick Crayton in a moment. I want to let you know that Cowboys Legend Show brought to you by Fans United, where you can find game day gear for every Cowboys fan. Visit shopfansunited.com to find a location near you, and more with Patrick Crayton when the Cowboys Legend Show continues in a moment.
Back to the SWBC Mortgage Dallas Cowboys Legends Show. Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
Almost changing the play now, and here comes everybody, and they block it up, and he throws it over the middle to Crayton. Broke a tackle at the 10. He's coming left. He's walking the dog. He bends over and puts it on the ground. Touchdown, Cowboys. 20 yards to Crayton. 27 seconds left. Dallas has regained the lead.
And the Cowboys Legends Show continues with Patrick Crayton here from the Star in Frisco. Mickey, what'd you make of that play?
Well, that was November 11th in 2007. They were playing the Giants, took the lead on a 20-yard touchdown pass to Patrick Crayton with 27 seconds left in the first half, and Patrick remembers the play like it was yesterday.
Oh, yeah, straight zero blitz. They brought everybody and left a flat tail across the top, meaning every DB is up. And Aaron Ross is probably about 6 yards off. And I think he knew the slant was coming, but he didn't trust it. And I held it straight enough, just long enough to get across his face.
And so to finish the story, you heard Brad say, and he put the ball on the ground.
I put the ball on the goal line. Because it was one of those plays where I was just in one of those moments. Because I wanted to talk a little noise to the Giants fans because they had been heckling us coming out of that tunnel. Okay, cool. Set the ball right on the goal line, and Sam Hurd jumps on it like it was a fumble.
No way.
I remember walking in, we're in film watching it, and everybody goes, Coach goes, "Sam, what were you thinking?" "Coach, I thought it was a fumble. I thought I had me a touchdown."
And you know the darn thing about it, the Giants in 27 seconds came back and kicked the field goal to tie it 17-17. The Cowboys go on to win 31-20. Patrick had 5 catches for 66 yards, the touchdown. And Terrell Owens had touchdown receptions of 25 and 50 yards in that game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, speaking of T.O., well, Danny's got a question from someone here, and we'll go to Danny first, and then I'll get a T.O. question in. Danny Surratt.
Patrick, this next question for you comes from Steve from Frisco.
Hey, Patrick, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry about yourself.
Hey, I'm originally from upstate New York, so I was at that game.
Okay.
And it was Columbus Day weekend.
So it was Columbus Day.
And believe me, everybody was drunk.
Yeah, we know.
I wore my Cowboys jersey going up the stands, and they were throwing beer at me and acting crazy.
They're rude up there.
And I'm from there. But you're right, though. But diehard Cowboy fan. Hey, I had a question for you. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, there was some controversy with T.O. coming out to the media and talking about Tony and Jason Witten, doing running plays in the dirt and talking about, doing some side plays.
Okay.
Were you surprised by that, and were you surprised by T.O.'s release by the Cowboys?
First question. I don't think I was, completely shocked over T.O.'s release. I think it came at a time where we didn't think it was going to happen. But I don't think we were, originally shocked about it. Second question, answer to that question. They had their little meetings amongst each other. So it wasn't a made-up, fictitious story, but it was, and I think it kind of threw all of us like, what the? Like, we want to be involved with that too, bro. Like, Whitten can't be the only one you're throwing to. So that was its own little drama. It's the Cowboys, dude. It's a living soap opera. We lived it. We played parts and part of it and all of it. So yeah, it was. Everyone had their own character involved in it. It's like Dallas, TV show with J.R. Ewing.
There you go.
And I would imagine none of this shocked you because you kind of grew up with. I mean, the '90s weren't exactly calm, right?
Absolutely correct. Yeah. So I don't think we were calm compared to what.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So what was it like being there playing with Terrell Owens?
You know what? It was one of those journeys in times in my career where he actually helped me become a better player and a better receiver. Because he pushed me to do extra things to prepare for the game. Just as far as within practice and with what I started eating. So it was a time that he made my game step up because I was like, okay, he's not going to come down to my level. I got to raise my bar to try to get up there. And he told me he learned from the best to ever play it. He learned from Jerry Rice. He was like, he was doing it like that. I was going to do it like that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it like you then. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So it worked out, except for the tights. I wasn't finna. Wasn't my thing.
And I imagine you were very happy when he got the call for the Hall of Fame.
I was very, very happy. It's one of those things where I wish he would have went.
Yeah.
I kind of not fully understood his point of view. But, we talked about it, and he was like, you're not changing my mind. I was like, all right, well, I've said my piece. I'm just saying, dude. And I was like, what would your grandmother want you to do? And he was like, I thought about that, and I prayed on that. And I think she would want me to stand on my own 2 feet. So I was like, well, there you go then, dude.
All right, we got a minute left. So what do you think this Cowboys team's going to do the rest of the year?
I think they got to finish out strong. I'm predicting 11-5.
That's what I had at the beginning of the season, 11-5. They got to win out to get there, though.
They'll win out.
I had 10-6, so one of us is going to be right.
Oh, you think so? You think so? Unless they crater down the stretch here, but I don't think they will. I think they've got
like that. No.
The way they've been playing here lately. Well, Patrick, it's been great having you here on the
man, I
Legend
appreciate
Show.
you guys. Thanks for having me here.
Glad I ran into you in Atlanta.
Exactly right, man. You were looking lost on the sidelines. I'm glad I helped you.
Mickey, do you know who we have next week?
I do not, Bill.
Okay, so we're taking suggestions. Give Mickey a call.
Anybody want to be the guest?
There you go. All right, and for Danny Surek, great job, Danny. Patrick, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you,
For Mickey
guys.
Spagnola, I'm Bill Jones, and we will be here with somebody next week on the Cowboys Legend Show at the Star.